What's up guys, Next Tech here, and in this video we're going to be looking at some benchmarks between the Google Nexus 7 on the left and the iPad mini on the right. We're going to start off with Geekbench, and let's open these at the same time, see who opens them first. Got to give that to the Google Nexus 7, it was there, but then the interfaces are slightly different. So let's have a look at the system information here. You can see the iPad mini and the different operating systems, iOS 6.0.2 versus Android 4.2.1. They are the latest systems for both. The iPad mini is running the Apple A5, which is a dual-core processor running at a gigahertz. The Google Nexus 7 is running the Tegra 3, which is a quad-core processor running at 1.3 gigahertz. So over here we've got more cores and a higher clock rate. We've also got more RAM. We've got 1 gigabyte over here compared to 512 on the iPad mini. So let's start these off. Hit these at the same time. And they're off. You can see how the different user interfaces are different. And yeah, so basically Geekbench is just a CPU intensive benchmark. So this won't be testing any of the graphical performances. I'll use a different benchmark for that. But this is going to be testing the raw CPU performance of both. We know basically that it's not all about CPU performance, raw CPU performance anyway. You know, a lot of it now is software optimization. And there we go. The Google Nexus 7 has come in with a really good score for the price of the device. It's 1522. In comparison, I mean, that is a very good score. I think the iPhone, that's similar to the iPhone 5 score in terms of CPU. You can see here the iPad mini is still going. Like I said, that is a decent score. The Galaxy S3 stock scores about 1700 or 1800. So you can see that is a very good CPU in that device. Obviously, it's quad-core and a higher clock rate. Let's wait and see what the mini gets. You can see it will be less as it's still going. And there we go, guys. And you can see it scored 762, which is pretty much identical to what the iPad 2 scores, which is no shock, seeing as it's using the exact same chip. So in terms of CPU performance, you've got to give it to the Google Nexus 7. It absolutely trounces the iPad mini, 1522 versus 762. So yeah, that's the CPU pretty much done and dusted. Next up, we're going to do GL benchmark, and GL benchmark is a graphics test. So we'll see who's got the best graphics chip. We'll agree to both of these. And I haven't actually used this yet, so we'll skip through. Okay, and we'll put that back to portrait mode. And we'll do performance tests. And I'll tell you what, we won't do the trial throughput, otherwise the test will go on for literally ages. So I'm just going to do all the GL benchmarks on and off screen for both devices. You can see on and off screen are both ticked. And I'm going to hit start. Boom. And they're off. I actually might as well move these, rearrange them, so you can kind of see the test itself. Google Nexus 7 on the top, iPad on the bottom. I'll let this test run for a little bit just so you can see the difference. So far the iPad mini, you can see, has VSync limited. Hasn't appeared on the Nexus 7 whatsoever. Move that down a bit so you can see. Got to say, from initial impressions, it is looking smoother on the mini. We know the mini has the PowerVR SGX 543 MP2. Pretty much all the PowerVR GPUs are very strong. So it's looking like the iPad mini does have a stronger GPU, but let's wait for the results. I will skip to the end, guys. I just want to show you this one test so you can see the frame rate differences live, and then I'll skip to the end. So you can definitely see the iPad mini is actually pulled in front due to obviously scoring higher frames, getting through the test quicker. Definitely more stuttery up here on the Nexus 7. So you can see really you do need a combination between the CPU and the GPU. Even though the CPU was a lot stronger on the Nexus 7, the GPU looks a lot stronger on the iPad. But again, we'll wait for the results. So I think that's pretty much enough of the live testing I've showed you. You can see there the difference in frame rate is quite a lot. I will skip to the end now, guys, and yeah, we'll review the results when we get there. So see you guys later. And funnily enough, guys, the Nexus 7 on the top finished first, even though I think the iPad was scoring higher frames. We'll find out. Maybe the CPU was just pushing it. But there we go. They've now both finished. So we'll put these back in portrait mode and check them out. Give you a little bit of a zoom in here. Okay, and let's check out the differences. So we'll go through the first test, for example, is the on-screen test. So this is how it performed on screen. The Google Nexus 7 is on the left and the iPad mini on the right. Google Nexus 7 scores 14 frames per second. The iPad mini scores 24, so 10 more frames in the first test. Off screen, we're scoring 9.4 on the Nexus 7, 14 on the iPad mini. For some reason, it wasn't supported, this test here, whereas the iPad mini scored 24. Don't know what that's about. But if we keep going on to the tests here when they are supported, the GL Benchmark 2.5 Egypt HD, the Nexus 7 with its Tegra 3 scores 12, the iPad mini scores 21. And you can see basically it carries on the same. If we look at the bottom test here, the classic one, the Google Nexus 7 scores 31, the iPad mini scores 49. So the iPad mini definitely wins in terms of GPU performance. It's beating it in every single GPU test. And this seems to be the case with a lot of iOS versus Android devices. The Android device always seems to have the stronger, more powerful CPU, but the iOS device always seems to have the more powerful GPU. So iOS devices are generally better at gaming, whereas kind of Android devices seem to be a little bit better or faster in terms of opening apps and stuff like that. But I'll do another test to make sure and test that theory anyway. But yeah, guys, it was 1-0 to the Nexus 7, and now it's 1-1 for both because CPU is better for the Tegra 3, but the GPU is better on the iPad. So yeah, guys, see you all later.